Well, the big news this week, obviously in the boxing world, is the Jake Paul Gervonta Davis exhibition. Now, no matter where you are in the world, you're going to get asked about this question. I've been getting asked about this particular fight, many times since it's been announced and the news have broken. So, what are my thoughts on Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis exhibition? Look, it's a tricky one because we don't know the exact stipulations, the exact rules at the moment of what's going to be happening. We have heard it's exhibition, but I'm never a hater when it comes to a big boxing event. Now, this big boxing event between, two superstars. They are two superstars, two big names in the sport of boxing. I think this is going to help, the fighters on the undercard and bring more eyes to the boxing world. Now, Netflix, come into play again. You can see what Netflix is doing. They're using Jake Paul and making sure that the event is the biggest events possible, with obviously Jake Paul being a megastar. Now, Gervonta Davis is coming to play with this big fight. So, what are my thoughts about it? I think it's good for boxing. I think it's going to attract more eyes. Now, Jake loves to bring eyes, loves to bring entertainment to the sport, and you've seen his road of the guys he's fought, and we've seen the stats and the numbers he's been able to do. So, it's great for the sport. And now Gervonta Davis, you got a question as well, his take on it. Now, we know Gervonta Davis was supposed to have the rematch with Roach. We did see what happened in that first fight, and we did see the fight was a draw, obviously on the scorecards, but a lot of the fans believe Roach won that fight. We did see the controversy with the knockdown as well. But him stepping away from the rematch and going into a big fight with Jake Paul, a big entertainment, obviously, avenue, you can't knock it because he's going to get paid huge money, life-changing money, and so will Jake get paid. But when you look on it as a boxing fan, as someone who's in the division, been a champion in the division like myself, a guy who's gone and fought the big names, you start to question Gervonta Davis's real love for the sport. Now, there was an interview many years ago where he was asked about particular high-level guys, and my name was mentioned in there as well, and guys that he wanted to fight. And when you look back at that video, it's quite funny because he never actually fought any of them. None of the big names he's fought. So that's where you got to question Gervonta Davis's actual love for boxing and making money. But again, you can't knock it, and you can't knock Jake Paul, who I know personally. Again, I think he's doing a tremendous job with bringing so many eyes to the sport. He takes it serious, and again, people are going to take interest in this fight. People are going to want to see what happens in this fight. Now, we need to know, is it 8-ounce gloves? Is it 10-ounce gloves? Is it 14-ounce gloves? Maybe 16-ounce gloves? That's going to make a difference in the fight. Now, Jake is a lot bigger than Gervonta Davis. He's going to carry a lot more weight. But again, Gervonta Davis is a puncher. He has been more seasoned for boxing many years from a young kid. So, look, it's going to be a give or take fight. We need to see, again, the rules of what's going to happen. But it's all going to depend on, what kind of, stipulations are going to be in the fight. And look, I think Jake is going to give it a real good crack. He's improving, every outing. He's getting better and better every outing. And the size advantage is going to play a big role. But again, Gervonta Davis is a puncher, so we don't know if, he lands that shot clean on Jake, what happens in the fight. But again, who knows? It's exhibition, supposedly, so it could be, a draw at the end. So there will be no winner. But obviously, weight, accurate puncher, what happens between both guys, is going to be seen.
Do you think Tank could stop him and catch him with a shot?
Yeah, I think definitely. Tank is a tremendous puncher. We've seen it in the past. Tank is a very big puncher, and if he does land on Jake, of course, anyone can get knocked out in boxing. Boxing is, it only takes a small amount of pressure on the right spot, on the right, part of the body, and that's being the chin, to put anyone to sleep. And again, we've seen Gervonta Davis throw a lot of, heavy shots and knock people out. So of course, he can knock him out. Now again, depends what size gloves they're wearing. If he's wearing bigger gloves, and obviously Jake is a much bigger person. I think the weight difference is going to be huge. That will definitely come into a fact in the fight. So we're going to have to wait and see. And again, it's an interesting one for boxing. I think it's definitely going to bring a lot of eyes. Netflix being free for anyone that has Netflix, watching it is fantastic what they're doing. And yeah, look, a lot of people are going to knock it. I'd never knock anyone, making that kind of money. You got to take your opportunities. You got to take, your, avenue where it's there. But again, I do knock a little bit of Gervonta Davis, the resume he has.
I think for his age, he's fought some great fighters.
That interview so many years ago where Gervonta Davis was asked about certain guys, and he hasn't fought not one of them. Not one of them guys. He has not fought. He has not fought a Lopez. He has not fought a Devin Haney. He has not fought Shakur Stevenson. He has not fought, myself. He has not fought any of the big names. Yeah, he fought Ryan Garcia. But we've got to take into play what kind of version of Ryan Garcia was that? Ryan Garcia, we know at 135, at that point was extremely, drained. Let's not hide the facts. That's the truth about it. And again, me and Ryan Garcia don't have a friendly relationship. That's on site anytime. But he was drained. And then we look at a guy like Rolly Romero, who at that point when he fought him, Rolly was still pretty novice. He really wasn't, an elite of the elite, you know what I mean? And then who do we have? We have Lamont Roach, who finally, from 130 pounds, came up. So he was feeling better. He didn't have no huge weight, disadvantages against him. And we saw what happened. He put on an amazing fight, given a draw. But I believe that Lamont Roach won the fight. And then instead of doing the rematch, he's gone the Jake Paul way, which is fantastic, no problem.
My opinion is, I think, I do agree with you that you can't really compare the resumes because with someone, just with Lomachenko himself, put all the rest aside, just with someone like Lomachenko, he's going to go down as the greatest southpaw to ever live. And you went toe-to-toe with him. I understand your resume is better than Tank's, in my opinion, but he does have a great resume.
My biggest thing from the fight, and I think a lot of the boxing world, that's why a lot of people are talking, saying, well, this is a circus, this is a joke. No, I don't think it's a circus. I think it's going to be entertaining. I'm all about, bringing more eyes to the sport, and Netflix getting involved and creating such a big broadcast and views and eyes to the sport. I'm all about, of course, let them fight. But I think a lot of people question, and again, I question, is Gervonta Davis's, take on how much does he want to fight the big names, the elite names? How much does he really want to go in and fight, a Shakur Stevenson, a Devin Haney, a Teofimo Lopez, a Lomachenko, a Hitchens? How many people does he want to actually fight these guys in the tough test? And we saw it with Roach. That was a very tough test, a very difficult fight, which many believe he lost the fight.
You think it was a bad night, or do you think?
No, I don't believe it was a bad night. I believe it was Roach was underrated. I think he's a very good boxer, and style-wise, look, when you got two fighters, that's what people don't understand. Styles make fights. I've been saying it for so long. And some styles just don't gel. Other styles gel amazing. Facts. And I think both their styles, both being such, high-level boxers, but one being the bigger puncher and really depending on the punching to knock someone out. I think that's where things kind of got a little bit out of hand for Tank, and he started thinking, "Oh, I'm in a real fight," and started relying on that one shot. And Lamont Roach was not going nowhere, and we could see his skills, and he was able to, negate away a lot of Tank's good things, and then be able to, do a lot of his things that he did into the fight, and really. We saw it. So instead of going back to that and make it a clear win, if he could come back into the rematch and win that fight, and then going into a Jake Paul fight, it'd be even bigger. So that's my biggest take on the whole thing of not Jake Paul. Jake's doing a great job. It's more Tank.
Do you think Tank will right his wrongs?
I think he should. I think you look at when I lost against Devin Haney. straight away wanted the rematch. Obviously, it was in the clause. Of course, I wanted the fight to try to do my rights or from wrongs and try to win that fight. You know, so
rematch turnover.
No. I think, you know, the opportunity was there, and a bit of time, of course, could help. A bit of time can help anybody, but look, when your opportunity is there, you got to take it. And you go back to Lamont Roach and Tank. He took his opportunity and put on a hell of a fight. And look, he's become from a guy before the fight that everyone was saying he was going to get killed, and you know, Lamont Roach stands no chance. All of a sudden, he'd become one of the big names, and you got, you know, Shakur wanted to fight him, Hitchens wanted to fight him. So that's how quick boxing can turn around, how quick boxing can move, and one good night all of a sudden can really, you know, give you these opportunities. Again, we saw it. I had a lot of good nights to get my title shot, and then when my title shot came after 19 good nights and then some really good nights leading into the big fight, then I took my opportunity, and then I capitalized on my opportunity to, yes, of course, make serious money, but of course want to challenge myself, want to give, fight the best of the best, you know, and walk it like I talk it, and create as much legacy as I can. And you know, that's my biggest take of Gervonta Davis, not, you know, walking it like he talks it. You know, he does talk it and says, yeah, I'll beat this guy, beat that guy, but go fight him. But hopefully after this fight, there's opportunities for him to, you know, go and fight these big names, you know. That's my biggest take about the fight.
I don't think he's really interested in fighting them at this point of his career. I think he's looking for these type of Jake Paul type of fights where he's making his bank and going home.
Okay, yeah.
Well, in his eyes, he's thinking of it as an easy night in the office.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an easy night. I think, like I said, Jake's size and Jake's, you know, he's improving more and more as a boxer. He's improving. I think he can cause a lot of problems. And when you've got a big guy that is improving at boxing, but still is not, of course, Gervonta Davis has been doing his boxing from 3-4 years of age.
Born into it.
But you get it when you spar guys that are not as experienced as you, and all of a sudden they create problems because they're awkward. They throw punches a little bit different to what you're used to. So I think Jake can create a lot of problems for Gervonta Davis, you know, in this fight. And again, the size is the biggest thing.
How do you think someone like Jake will be able to beat Tank if he does?
Look, again, we've got to see the rules. We don't know what's in place at the moment, but obviously everyone's talking about, you know, this big event. But I think the best chance is obviously using his size, using his advantage of being bigger. You know, he's much bigger than Gervonta Davis. Gervonta is not very big at all. So I think he's got to use his size. I think he's got to be able to, you know, really rush him, lean on him, and try to really exhaust him and not let him be able to get off. If he is able to get off and land some shots on the chin, no matter what gloves, you can see that he can knock him out. So it's very difficult to see the way the fight's going to go at the moment. So that's why I think, yeah, as much as, you know, a lot of boxing fans will criticize it, they're going to tune in. I'm going to tune in. People are going to tune in, and that's why it's going to be a big event. And like Jake and Mike Tyson, people will tune in to watch it because, yes, it's a boxing fight. It's two men with gloves fighting. But also, it's going to be entertainment. It's going to be a show, and people are going to see, well, how's it going to go? What's going to happen? So yeah, look, it's boxing at the end of the day. It is boxing. It's two gloves, two men, two pairs of gloves, two men in there in the ring fighting. So, you know, it's not a bad thing for boxing. It's not a thing where it's going to put boxing back, because you're going to have good guys on the undercard. You're going to have probably some female fighters who Jake's aligned with and doing fantastic thing for the female, in boxing. And I think it's going to present, you know, really big opportunities for a lot of guys and women, you know, on the undercard, you know, on a platform like Netflix. So my prediction, and they're both entertainers, and obviously there's going to be a good lead up towards it. So we're going to have to wait and see, you know, the way everything goes, you know, leading into the fight. But look, my prediction...
Not sitting on the fence, what's your prediction?
Look, I'm not sitting on the fence because I got a good relationship with Jake. I speak with him quite often. But again, Gervonta Davis, I've had a lot of back and forth with him, so I don't really give two fucks about Gervonta Davis, really. But yeah, my prediction is it's going to be interesting. It's really hard to tell at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to back Jake Paul because of, you know, the little thing between me and Tank. So yeah, fuck Tank and go Jake Paul. But it'll be interesting, and it's going to be, you know, entertainment. It's going to be, you know, good for boxing. So, you know, my prediction, you know, entertainment, a lot of eyes, a lot of views, and yeah, I'm gonna go with Jake Paul. Yeah, fuck Tank.